Some people ride motorcycles to escape from their loved ones. Others use riding as an opportunity to bond with their partners or family members by riding together. So today we're going to talk about 7 tips for riding 2-up so you can be safe, have some fun with the passenger. Let's get into it. If you plan on doing a lot of 2-up riding, your best option is to get a bike that is well suited for riding with a passenger. You can certainly ride 2-up on basically any bike that has a passenger pillion and foot pegs, but riding a bike that's more tailored for touring is gonna make the experience a whole lot better for everyone involved. To be really tailored for 2-up riding, a heftier, more powerful motorcycle is going to be your best bet. Think of touring bikes like a Yamaha FJR 1300 or a Honda Goldwing, or maybe something like a Versys 1000, or, a big bulky Harley Davidson or a stonkin' metric cruiser, brother. A bigger bike is almost always better for 2-up riding for a couple of reasons. First, it's going to have more power on tap, making it much more willing to move the added cargo weight, especially if you got your mom on back. Secondly, a bigger, heavier bike won't feel so wonky and top-heavy with a passenger. If you got a 400-pound motorcycle with 350 pounds of human flesh on the back, it's not going to be very confidence-inspiring. A larger bike will not only have more power, feel more planted, and have more suspension that's capable of comfortably supporting 2 people, but the extra room will allow you and the passenger to have more space to feel comfortable during the ride. A bigger bike isn't 100% necessary to ride with the passenger, but if that's something you plan on doing often, getting the right bike for the job is going to make it a far better experience. Think about it this way. Would you rather do a road trip in a nice comfy SUV, or do you want to do it in a Miata with the passenger? Basically the same principle. Now, before you hit the road with your passenger, it's super important to teach them how to be a passenger. Unlike riding in a car, being a passenger on a motorcycle is a much more active experience, just in the way piloting a motorcycle is far more involved than driving a car. Your passenger shouldn't just hop on the bike and tune out and expect that they can be totally oblivious to what's going on. From the get-go, your passenger should be told specifically how to mount and dismount the bike. The key rule is that the passenger should get on the bike after you've already got on to ensure stability. They can grab onto your shoulder for support, put their left leg on the left passenger peg, and then swing their right leg over. Secondly, make sure your passenger knows where to properly hold on. In most situations, having their arms wrapped around your waist is best for stability compared to them sitting totally upright holding on to those passenger grab handles that most squids use to hold down the brim of their fitted hats while they ride. On a really large touring bike, there may be a passenger backrest that can hold them in place as well. But those are reserved for only the girthiest of girthy boys on the road. We're talking gold wings and the such. But no matter how they're secured on the bike, it's important to communicate the importance of their body positioning. Sometimes a passenger might instinctively try to keep themselves upright while turning. This is going to essentially offset your inputs and body positioning and make the bike far more reluctant to turn accordingly. So make sure they know how to lean with you and the bike while you turn so you don't have to fight with their opposing weight. When riding with the passenger, you're also going to want to adjust your tire pressure and suspension settings. Even if you're not riding with the passenger, you should check your tire pressure. Have you done that recently? I don't think you have. I can see it in your eyes. You should clean your chain while you're at it too. While riding 2-up, you're adding another 100 to 200 pounds of weight to your bike. The extra weight will increase your suspension sag. Combined with tires being underinflated in these conditions, your bike's handling will be negatively affected. Your response when cornering will be far more sluggish, your braking distance will lengthen, and the increased contact patch on the tire can increase wear and tear and produce excess heat. At the very minimum when riding 2-up, it's best to adjust the preload settings on your rear shock. Adding preload will reduce suspension sag, which will keep the ride height in the proper range, even with an additional rider. If you plan on taking a large touring ride with the passenger, it might be worth tweaking your compression and rebound settings if possible as well. But if you're just taking an occasional 2-up ride, quickly adding a bit of preload on the rear will go a long way. Your bike will also have specified tire pressure settings for riding with the passenger. These can be found either on the sticker on your swing arm or in the owner's manual. It's usually just a couple PSI in the front and a bit more in the rear, which provides extra pressure to prevent tires from flexing too much or overheating from the extra weight of the bike. Tweaking the preload and tire pressure is a quick and easy step to make sure you have safety and comfort while riding with the passenger. You'll notice that motorcycles that are more tuned for riding 2-up have a remote preload adjuster where you can just turn the ratchet and then the preload will increase. Some bikes are a little annoying with the preload collar, but you do have to increase the preload. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. And if you're riding with the passenger, prepare for slightly more challenging low-speed maneuvers. Low-speed riding is already a little harder than riding quickly in many ways. The bike requires a lot more balance and control to keep it upright and stable, whereas at speed, the gyroscopic forces of a motorcycle's wheel ensures it stays upright when in motion. The trickiness of low-speed operation is dialed up a notch when you have a passenger on the back. With the extra weight, the bike's going to feel quite a bit more top-heavy, meaning it will take more effort to keep balanced. And putting a foot down and dabbing really quickly isn't going to have the same input as if you were riding alone. The extra weight on the back shifts the center of gravity as well, meaning your steering inputs can feel way less precise and responsive. Although it is more challenging to ride slowly with the passenger, all the fundamental tips and tricks still apply. Work the friction zone between the clutch and the throttle, drag the rear brake and add stability, and then shift your weight on the bike in order to complete tighter turns. The fundamentals all still apply, they just become a little harder when there's a passenger aboard. To prevent it being even harder than it needs to, make sure your passenger knows to keep their body positioned evenly with yours and not to lean opposite of you or move in a way that throws the balance of the bike off. And in the very least, just be a little bit more ready to put a foot down if you need to. Even if you think you're a slow speed expert, be prepared to have a dab a foot down the first time you do slow speeds with the passenger, because it is a little bit trickier. Or since slow speeds can be tough with a passenger, just don't go slow. Full pin, 6th gear, the bike will have no problem staying upright no matter how much weight you have on the back. If all else fails and you're in a tight parking spot, you can always ask your passenger to dismount, making it easier for you to back the bike up, do a quick maneuver, and then get on the road. So we all know smooth throttle and braking inputs are crucial every time you ride a motorcycle, but it's even more important to be cognizant of that when you're riding two up. It will be just a bit of a different experience because your bike will accelerate and decelerate differently with the added weight of a passenger. You're really going to notice the braking distances are going to increase. Your bike's power output will obviously be unchanged, but the ways in which the power propels the bike forward will be different. So prepare to have to alter your input slightly to accommodate that, but don't be aggressive or abrupt in a way that sends deb flying off the back. With a passenger, it can be more common for your bike to want to surge after an initial delay as the increased throttle input catches up. You'll also want to plan for increased braking distances because the bike is going to take a lot longer to stop, as I mentioned. If you're one of those sport bike guys who's like, I literally never use the rear brake, when you've got someone riding pillion, you're definitely going to want to use the rear brake as the added weight on the back of the bike allocates more stopping power to the rear tire. You'll also want to be progressive with your front brake, as you can have more serious front end dive if you brake too aggressively. It's kind of like riding in the rain. Riding in the rain uses all the same fundamental skills as riding normally, but the diminished traction means that the effects of your inputs are exaggerated and thus require extra caution. The same applies to riding with the passenger, and in fact, an easy way to do it is pretend you're riding in the rain. All the fundamentals are the same, but the way in which the bike responds to your inputs changes. Also, you're responsible for another person in this case, so extra caution is even more important. In fact, it's why I barely ever ride with the passenger on the back of my motorcycles. I just don't like the responsibility of yet another human being on top of this steel horse. Beyond accelerating and braking, your cornering ability is going to be quite a bit different when you got the old lady on the back. You're not going to want to be trail braking hard in the corners, dipping the front and leaning off the bike, at least when you're first getting your bearings riding two up. I'm sure there are super elder motorcycle chads who can shred lap times riding two up. It can't be any crazier than the sidecar racers, but I digress. When riding with the passenger, your bike is going to be heavier, more reluctant to lean. More input's going to be required to initiate that lean, and your passenger's body position will directly indicate how willing your bike is going to be. It is important that they lean with you and not against you, trying to stay upright. A higher center of gravity is going to make your bike less capable of high lean angles, and the limits of tractions will be stressed further than usual. Since braking distances increase with extra weight, you'll need more time to slow down the appropriate entry speed for a turn. Ride with caution and prepare to take turns gingerly with smooth and even acceleration. And you should expect that at any moment, your passenger might move and impede the trajectory of your turn. Allow yourself a buffer in regards to speed and space to be able to reduce any potential risks. And lastly, just be sure to communicate with your passenger. Obviously, full-faced helmets will have wind noise, you're not gonna be able to do much in the way of talking, but have some different way of relaying information to one another. If you're about to get up to a higher speed, maybe give your passenger a tap on the leg to let them know they should be holding on tight during some faster acceleration. If they're leisurely leaned in the backrest or a sissy bar and you're going to be entering a tight turn, give them a signal that communicates they should be holding on and ready to lean. If they're scared or not having a good time, that's just going to suck for everyone. Or maybe they're super comfortable and having a great time, and then they can signal you and let you know to stop being such a baby and actually ride in 6th gear. Communicating that will make sure that they know how to properly sit on the bike, how to hold in a way that's safe or comfortable, and how to position themselves when accelerating, braking, or cornering. Because like I said, not gonna be fun for anyone if your helmets are just knocking into one another for an hour because you're not on the same page. Being a passenger on a motorcycle does require them to be an active participant, so having clear communications you're both on the same page is gonna make sure you both stay safe and have fun. Thanks for watching to the end. Are you a regular 2-up rider? Or are you a lone Sigma who would never let a woman 20 feet within your bike? Or you can ride 2-up with your male friends too. I mean, we've all done it once, at least for the jokes. There's no need to be embarrassed. I mean, motorcycling is inherently a homoerotic activity. It's wonderful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. This riding season is going to be massive for Yami Noob, and you're not going to want to miss the new content, the new giveaway bikes, or the new memes. We're not slowing down. We never slow down. Yami Noob is eternal. So subscribe to the channel and stick with us. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Fact: ballet was originally performed exclusively by men, even with female roles danced by them until women were officially allowed to perform in the 1680s. Goodbye.
Keep watching Yami Noob!